Alright, YouTube video. Hello, it's Vic, back with another video journal. No afternoon coffee this time, so instead of hiding behind it like a coward, I have to actually be confident and not fiddle on camera. So in this journal I wanted to talk about just I think the when people just face this inability to really truly change, like they know they want to change and they just can't, specifically because they just focus too much on the past and what happened in the past and what they did in the past, whatever. And it's funny because it's like the most obvious advice that there is to change out there is like 100% correct, but I think people just have a bad perspective on it. So, you know, and all this stuff is stuff that I went through, but before I start speaking my mouth and you pull like the Looney Tunes cane on me and drag me off stage, like, yeah, bro, I know that already, bro. Why even bother posting this? I think it just comes from, I don't know where that voice came from. It just comes from a place of like, look, here's what I've dealt with, what I've done. I get it, but let me tell you that it's not only possible to change, maybe it's just a matter of like you haven't quite picked up all the little nuggets of information of whatever the heck it is, motivation, I don't know, that you really need to kind of just firmly figure it the hell out. Maybe some of you guys are familiar with that feeling where like, if you ever like maybe moved neighborhoods or maybe when you first started like a new level of school, like high school or something, and you're like, man, like this is my chance for a clean slate. Now I can really be the person that I want to be and redesign my life and finally ask out Stacy and be like the star quarterback of whatever hypothetical football team. I don't know a Stacy. As corny as that example sounds, we have the power at any time to just kind of just enact that change, that like I'm going to redesign everything from the ground up and become the person that I finally have always wanted to be. Which is to say, you can do it at any point in your life. There's no like, oh man, but not until I do this. And the only caveat is like the best time you could have done it is already passed, but the second best time that you can start to change your life is today, is right now. But I think change also depends on our willingness to like just stick out, to throw out whatever qualities, whatever foundation that we have that is just not working for us. Like we've tried it over and over again with what we've built up for ourselves in our life and it's just not working. The ability to toss all of that out and stick to a change, I think, is what really separates people who do change and people who don't. So why do people stay stuck in the past, which is, I think, is what, you know, you could define as a depression? It's because of stuff that, or both, but it's because of stuff that's either happened to us, it's occurred to us, or it's because of things that we ourselves have done in the past, and just the idea of letting those things become our character for whatever reason. Everyone only ever does the best with what they know at the time, and so when we think about the stuff that's happened to us in our lives, I think we just end up with a lot of bad programming, and I wish there was like, I'm a big guy like on manuals. Like I used to, like whenever I bought like an appliance or a video game or something, I'd be the freaking dumb kid in the back seat just reading the manual all about it. How does it work? What are the tips and the tricks and stuff? But unfortunately, we don't have one of those for just being a human living life. And I think especially in today's just information age, there's just this overwhelming wave from the internet, from our peers, from our family, from just everything constantly telling us one thing or another. And it's like, okay, so where do I even start with trying to analyze my past? Where the heck do I even begin? This person says this expert says that, I think this, but that's probably wrong for all I know. Heck, I've tried this in the past and who knows? You know, it's just a gigantic mess. So unfortunately, because we don't have a manual, I think it starts with awareness, right? There's a lot of people out there that, first of all, don't kind of reach that conscious point of like, hey, this is not working. I would like to change. instead it's they just kind of go through the motions and don't even reach that first point. And I think that's kind of the most tragic characters, I would say, is just not even having like that moment of clarity that you really do not like where you're at and you would like to change. But for the rest of us, the people that do have like this sucks, I don't like this anymore and I'd like to change, the idea that everyone only ever does the best with what they know at the time is a real powerful sentiment, in the sense of just like, that's all it really was in the past, you know? So the same applies to everyone else. The things that happen to us in this life, they also as well were only doing the best with what they know at the time. Why did this person do this messed up thing? Or why did so-and-so bully me? Or so why did so-and-so, like, you know, like yell at me? Or why did so-and-so like do that, again, messed up, whatever it could be, you know? Sometimes it does get to the point of like, okay, maybe you need an expert to kind of come in and help you out, whether it's a therapist or something else, to, you know, help you really dissect it and find peace with it. But I think for a majority of people, we have the blessing that we probably like grew up okay. I mean, this is all just, again, from personal experience. So, you know, I mean, I live in a pretty, I'm fortunate to live in a pretty remarkable part of the world with a pretty, like, just, I would say, regular upbringing. So in terms of my background, I think the things that in my past I would let define me were things that happened to me, and I never really flipped them as things that happened for me rather than to me. I never received those instructions to realize like everything that's like just occurred up to this point is almost like your story, your ability to just transform it as part of your hero's journey. The things that happen to you don't have to define you, but we get, again, this bad programming where we start to like, even in the little things that we describe about ourselves, the language that we use, where it's just like, yeah, I'm give an example, I'm just messy, you know, or yeah, like I just get shy, or yeah, I just get, I don't know, like I just can't articulate my words. Yeah, I can't, when I need help, I just have trouble asking other people. That's just how I am. That's just how I am. That's just how I am. But if these are things that are truly making us unhappy, you know, sticking to that language, sticking to those just, they're already like just set by just years and years of, again, things that we think happened to us, rather than flipping and realizing that they happened for us to grow from, to learn from. We've now stayed stuck in this character that we've decided is what just defines us. And so we end up as like, okay, like I'm just this person now, and this is just my role for the rest of my life because of this thing that happened. Conversely, on the other end, we also think too much about the things and mistakes that we've done to, you know, ourselves, to other people. And suddenly, for whatever reason, we decide that, damn it, because that happened, now that's just how I am. You know, that's what I am for the rest of my life. And there's no possibility of change, no possibility of parole, Judge Judy. Case is shut. Without that realization that also we too were only doing the best with what we knew at the time. So it's like to harp on like on a mistake or just some type of lapse of judgment or an act of wrong that you did on yourself or someone else in the past. It's almost like you get stuck on this person that's not really there anymore. That person in that moment did that, but you know, short of you, I don't know, being a secret serial killer, most things, I think, most mistakes in this life are usually worth just kind of like examining, figuring out what the heck I can do better from last time, and then just moving on. And in essence, the things that you make a mistake on, the errors, lapses of judgment, or whatever the heck big list that I just said, ends up becoming more so your superpower, ends up becoming more so the thing you can use to inspire other people in your life and to inspire yourself. But because we have this bad programming, we tend to think like, oh man, I did that one time, and so I'm just an asshole. Like I'm just this, I'm just selfish, I'm just uncaring, I'm not observant, and I'm just make mistakes all the time. And so we let these things also start to define us, rather than like, realizing like, okay, like this again happened for me and not to me. How can we analyze this to learn from it, to make it our superpower, in the sense of like, I don't want to do that, I regret doing that, I just want to improve. Let me use it to freaking, supercharge my way forward, versus like a thing that I'm just like, yeah, it's forever defines me, I'm forever that. I ain't going to Midway today. We stay stuck as like, this is just who I am. It hurts to even like think about changing this. So most people, I think, just tend to suddenly like switch to like whatever it is they want to use to distract themselves from that. They become unhappy with the things that happen to them, the mistakes and the wrongs they've done, and it becomes their character, and it's a surprising amount of people I've encountered where those types of things become like how they view themselves. They decide to define themselves by that kind of stuff. It's just a lot of people, and it's not easy to try to face those things, which is why most people will like, I don't want to deal with that, I don't want to think about that, I'm gonna let's use me as an example. I would rather eat an entire box of Thin Mints. How about that? That makes me feel good. I'd rather binge watch. Let's watch. This is an interesting director. Italian cinema. Perfect. Let's watch 6 movies. 12 hours have gone by. Oh, well, tomorrow's a new day. None of that stuff builds any real confidence in ourselves. And we become like subservient to those mistakes. We become just trapped by those qualities, and we never really start to critically think about them, which again, bad programming. We should be taught to think critically about these things in order to really like, how come I see this person that's out there and they're always so happy, and it comes just so naturally to them, and success is just something that it just seems to fall into their lap, versus like, okay, like I need to become someone that can also attract those qualities. How do I do that? Like I'm working with this, I'm working with all this stuff in my past. Like what can I do with all this? Personally, the type of superhero story that I would like to watch is not so much like the fucking perfect Hercules that's like already ripped and stuff from the get-go. But oh man, someone just socked Jason Momoa in the face, and now he's laying there, laying down. It's perfect 6-pack already. Like, Father, I will avenge you. That's a boring story, personally, to me. But the wacky idiot that's sitting on the couch eating a box of Thin Mints, and then just suddenly has the realization, like, man, this sucks. Like, I don't want to deal with this anymore. I don't want to be in this situation. How can I change all this? Well, whatever it is that you currently have in your life, your environment, you yourself, it's a direct result of your actions up to this point. If you're not happy with your surroundings, you're not happy with where you're at, it really does come down to just you take responsibility for everything. Wherever it is you're at currently is a direct net result of your actions up to this point. And which is why it's, again, at the start of the video, it's like kind of funny where it's like, oh, this is all like just generic advice, Sure. But, it's something that I think just doesn't quite happen until you build the confidence, I would say, to really start to think about the things that you don't like about yourself. Whether it is something that occurred from another source to you, whatever, or it is something that you yourself did, and then rather than take responsibility for it and change and not do that and not define yourself as that anymore, you decided like, tomorrow, procrastinate it with food or watching something all day, or pornography or alcohol or the marijuana. Can I say marijuana on YouTube? I don't know if that's like a weird algorithm thing. Who knows? Who cares? And I think most people get stuck in the sense of having that faulty programming where they don't see themselves as the hero in their story. They don't see the potential for change. They don't see that it's just a universal thing, and it's easy to just go back to a life of comfort, to a life of distractions, to a life of blaming everything else that's external in the world, rather than deciding like, this foundation sucks, this is bad, I'm gonna toss out all my bad habits and then just focus on the stuff that's boring, the stuff that's difficult, the stuff that I don't want to think about, but it's the stuff that's necessary, I would say, so that you can also become the hero in your story. Because it's in all of us. It's why we love those stories so much when the hero goes through their journey. But we're all perfectly capable of it. But in short, I think that's kind of what goes on for most people, is we don't have the realization or the programming that everyone only ever does the best with what they know at the time. And so we start to just kind of victimize, in a sense. Like, again, sometimes it's more serious and you do require that help because, of course, life is chaotic and some people go through some messed up stuff for sure. But I think most people, start to victimize about the things that happened to them and the things that they did or how they were in the past, rather than have the programming to flip it as an experience that happened for them and not to them, as something to learn from, as something to analyze and to dig into, and again, use it as like your superpower to not only propel yourself forward, but help someone else out. Use it to improve yourself even further, because now you can catch that bad programming, those bad habits and stuff. And rather than do all that, which is boring, hard work, it's easier to just turn to what is very easy. And unfortunately in this life, I've come to realize that like the place where it's most comfortable is usually the place where it's most miserable. And I think that's kind of where like the whole like the devil's hands are an idle plaything, where if you find yourself like unhappy and bored, we further and further degrade into those bad shit qualities that we don't like about ourselves, that where we don't want to be. But until we have that change in mindset where we can start to analyze and really dig these things and start to change them, we just further and further degrade into those. So that was it. It's just a little bit more of like a thought I had. Hopefully it's something that kind of like just gets at the very least someone's gears in their head turning. But we'll go ahead and catch you in the next Journal of Quarters. It's getting a little bit warm in the car here. And I think I've yapped a little longer than I'd like to anyways on this video. So, see ya.